always appreciated. So today's video is about how to get a job in Switzerland when you're abroad. So I want to give you 3 tips on that today. So the first one is really to see if you're eligible for a work permit in Switzerland. And it's more complicated than it seems. Some people say, well, I have a permit in Spain or in the UK. Well, that's not really helping you. Switzerland is a different thing. It's not part of the EU, so it's a completely different process, and you will have to start from scratch no matter where you're coming from in Europe. So of course, if you come from an EU country, it's a little bit easier. But again, with this new policy as of 1st of July, where companies have to report certain jobs to the unemployment office, and I'll put the link below. You can browse and see if your category of job is actually one that they will have to make this announcement or not, but it's getting more complicated. So nowadays to get a job in Switzerland, even from an EU country, is getting more difficult. And if you're from non-EU, then it's pretty much impossible. So if you're in a country that's non-EU, you've watched my video, you know, non-EU wants a job in Switzerland, which I'll post below also as a link, and you still have questions, you're extremely motivated, you do want to come to work in Switzerland, book me for a one-to-one session and we talk about your particular case. I think there's always a solution for extremely motivated people. There's always ways. You know, I really believe in when there's a will, there's a way, but it's going to take time, money, effort, so you just have to be prepared for it. So again, check your eligibility. Where are you from? You know, is it going to be difficult to get a work permit? What do you need to do, etc. Tip number 2, make sure you have a perfect CV and cover letter. I cannot insist on this. The Swiss have a way of writing their cover letters and their resumes. It's a little bit different. You need to put your personal details, and I'll post below my tutorial so that you can work on this and make sure your application is proper. Take this time to do the Swiss application, because if you send a resume just the way it is from your country, it's not going to be helpful. So take the extra time and rewrite your resume the Swiss style way. So again, my video explains everything from cover letter to resume, how to do it, etc. So an example, for example, on your resume would be if you're in marketing and you send me a resume that looks very dull and there's nothing really coming out of it, no special anything, you're not showing me that you're a good marketing person. Same thing, if you're in finance and you're not giving me proper numbers of what you achieved, I'm not going to take you seriously. So think also about writing your resume based on the type of work you're looking for. So that's the side note for resume and cover letters. And number 3, and lastly, be engaged and motivated when you're looking for a job. You know, my advice to people who are not in Switzerland and to get a job in Switzerland is to come to events. I'll post below a bunch of links where you can find events throughout Switzerland. Take the time to come. So of course, I would suggest also to have a job in your current country, because if you're unemployed, you're already it's more difficult because you don't have necessarily the resources to travel. It's going to make it more complicated. So my suggestion would be take a job in the country where you are, develop your skills in your field, and then take your holidays or time that you can you know, maybe a week or a few days where you come to Switzerland and you meet people. The best way to integrate Switzerland is to meet people physically, because if you try to connect online, you know, maybe on LinkedIn, etc., probably people won't reply to you because you're a little bit far away. So my recommendation would be come to Switzerland, meet some people in a conference where you can also learn some things about your field, you know, whatever that is. And then it will be easier. Then you have at least a person face-to-face that will be more engaged to reply to you and to give you advice. So it's a little bit more expensive, of course, than to connect online, but it's going to bring you much more value. If you're really serious about coming to Switzerland, you will need to invest. That's just the bottom line. You know, if you're in a country where you don't have a job, you can invest in coming, why would people be interested in you? You just have to look at it that way. So you need to already build up your profile, have a job, you know, in your country, be somewhat interesting to attract the right people to you. So again, all those links will be posted below. If you have questions, feel free to post, and I'll talk to you soon.